getting ready to choose a kitchen backsplash, but you're kind of overwhelmed with all the choices. You're not exactly sure how to pick the perfect one. Watch this video. I'm going to help you out. Hey people, my name is Natalie and welcome to Design, Build, Style. Each week we take one topic and we break it down into 3 segments: design, build, style. We make sure you have all the information you need to feel confident and just more educated on all things related to interior design, construction, and home styling. So today we're taking a field trip of sorts. Usually you see me behind my desk at home in my office, but I wanted to come out here today and talk about kitchen backsplashes. It's something I get so many questions on. People get overwhelmed because they come to the tile places and there's so many selections. They don't know exactly how they should pick, what is the parameters they should stick within for their certain projects. So today I'm going to run through and give you some tips and tricks all the way through so you have confidence to make the perfect tile selection. So first up in our design segment, I'm actually here at the tile shop today. They were nice enough to let me come in here and film. So if you hear stuff, it's just because I'm at an active store. But I'm actually here in one of their little kitchen displays right now. And first thing I want to talk about for the design as you're picking your backsplash, you need to make a couple decisions to help you narrow it down because there's so many choices. If you just head out into the world with no plan, you're really going to frustrate yourself and end up making a mistake. So first up, you want to see your design. And we're going to base everything today off, say we were doing like a white kitchen. That's just the easiest and that's always a popular thing. The first decision you're going to want to make is if you want your backsplash to be something that blends in or something that stands out. So do you want it to be a focal point or do you want it to fade away? If I step back here in this little kitchen display, this would be an example of something that blends in. It's in the same color family. The pattern's not super crazy. It kind of blends and fades away if I can stand out even further. So first choice, blends in or stands out. I've gone ahead and I've pulled a few other ones that I would consider in the blends in category. It doesn't mean it has to be the exact same color. If you see, this one here is actually darker, but it pulls up from the countertop. And again, when you stand further away from these selections, they're different shapes. One's glass, one's porcelain, one's ceramic. One has a little bit of texture, but if you stand back, you're gonna notice they really still do all fade away. So these 4 would be good selections of something if you wanted it to blend. So while choosing a tile that blends in is a super clean, classic look, the kitchen backsplash really is another spot that you can have so much fun with. So now I'm going to pull a few that I would consider ones that stand out or would be an amazing focal point for your kitchen. Both are great options, but you just have to figure out what works for you. So let me go find some fun ones. Okay, here's some video of ones that I would say stand out. So this one right here, obviously it's got some really sharp lines and color tone. This green one with the oval shape and the white grout is what really makes it pop. If you pair this with a darker grout, it could actually end up being one that fades away, but paired with the lighter grout, it really makes it pop, so it makes it an artistic accent. And glass mirrored tile is always one of my favorites. These are so amazing in a kitchen, add so much reflection, and just is super sparkly. Of course it's gonna stand out. And then of course, something with high contrast patterns. So this is a black and white one. There's so many different patterns, floral, all kinds of geometric shapes, but just to give you the idea of the high contrast in the black and white. And then when you back up, as you see, these pop out more. This lighting's not great, but they really do pop out more versus the white and ones that were in similar tones. So don't be afraid of having fun with your kitchen backsplash tile. So the biggest takeaway from that portion is just to have fun with your tile and to know that it is like the jewelry of the kitchen. It's the thing where you can place a stamp or have it blend into the design. You just have to pick which way you want to go. And I'm actually just walking down here because I want to show you guys something. The day of the classic white small subway tile is really over. So I'm really going to encourage you guys to just not do that. If you really love that classic rectangular shape, which I think will always be around, try and do something a little different with it. One that looks a little more handmade. There's going to be different colors. So try and stay away from the white, and then you might want to install it vertically, which is something that we see a lot of. So that's the only tip I'd say to stay away from, is the played out white classic subway tile. Okay, so now that we've figured out if we want to have something be an accent in our home or something that fades in, you are ready to move on to the build phase. So let's talk build. So now that we've chatted about some of the design stuff, let's go ahead and talk about some of the build things. You want to make sure that you are cognizant and aware and educated on the material that you are choosing for your backsplash. And you're probably like, what do you mean? I'm picking a tile. But tile is made out of so many different things. This is a glass one. This is a porcelain one. That one's got, you know, some marble and some glass. So you've got to make sure that you know the materials and the different things that can come up with each one. The biggest issue I have run into with tile is glass tile for backsplashes, or really anywhere. And the reason that it's an issue is because you're going to have to do cuts. This doesn't really show me, but you know, if you had an outlet, you're going to have to cut the tile typically to fit around the outlet at some point in the tile, which is fine for certain glass and certain tiles, but others chip very badly. We've actually done a mirrored glass backsplash and it's quite a bit of a headache. There's going to be maybe some slight imperfections around the outlets that you either just have to deal with or you know, have to change the material, because it's, some of the things are just not avoidable, and it's really unfortunate. And always make sure that if you're picking a tile with glass, like I said, this one has glass and marble, make sure you get a sample of that tile to your installer so they can tell you if there's going to be any issues with that installation. Another build thing you're going to want to think about is the thickness of a tile, especially if you're going to pair it with like an accent piece or a trim piece. See how this piece of tile here acts like a frame? You have to make sure that the thickness of your center tile, the accent, versus what's outside the frame, all lines up with the right thickness. And again, same thing too, you know, when you're cutting around outlets and placing tile on a backsplash, you need to talk with your installer and make sure that the thickness of your tile isn't too much. And if it is too much, that they have ways that they can compensate if they have to pull your outlets forward, or there's different little tips and tricks that they should know how to handle. So always make sure to get a sample of your tile to your installer so they can check out the material and any build issues or installation issues that they might need to address. And another thing, you want to think of the scale of the tile and the space you're going to be using it. And this guy right here is a perfect example. So many times clients will really love maybe a long tile or one that has a really big broad pattern, but the cabinet height that they have to display that is not enough. So your pattern or your image will get chopped off and it will look really odd. So see right here, this guy is a pretty tall hex shape, which is fine for this open space under the vent hood. But if you were to take this same tile and just shove it over here under the cabinet, you're gonna have it chopped off. So this one, you'd only end up seeing maybe one whole tile and a little bit of the other. So it could look pretty awkward. So you wanna make sure that the tile size that you choose fits properly under your cabinets. And again, bring a couple samples, bring them home, hold it up, make sure that where the cuts will lie actually will look right in the space that you're trying to fit them in. The last thing I want to mention in our build segment today is again on the material. So I just grabbed this one right here. It's actually a very porous tile. So you want to make sure that if you're going to choose a porous tile, that there's going to be oil absorption, especially if you do a lot of cooking and it's going to be right behind your cooking area. So any kind of a porous tile, you have to know that there will eventually be some oil splashing and staining. You can seal tile. There's a bunch of different sealers on the market, but a tile like this will eventually get some of that spotting and staining. We saw it a lot in the 90s when it was the travertine and the little slate tiles behind, you know, all the backsplashes were made out of that material. So just be careful of anything that's super porous because it will end up staining. So now that you've picked your tile, you've installed it, you have it home, you've renovated your kitchen, how do you style it out? So what I want to say in the style segment is just to be cognizant of how you finish out your kitchen. So really, if you have a really busy tile or something that's really meant to capture your eye and draw you into the space and stand out, I would do simple decor. So these are just simple white ones here. You could do simple black, simple green, whatever, or even a wood tone. Something more neutral and solid in color, I think works best with a super busy backsplash. But on the converse end, if you do something that's a very simple backsplash, you could also do a bright, vibrant pattern or color on the decor that is on your kitchen counter. Gotta try and keep that in mind. And I know it's all about the aesthetic, and some people are like, I don't care, I just have my little cup with the spoons in it, I don't care, it's on my kitchen counter. But if you really want to finish it out, or you just clean up your stuff for when your family comes over on Christmas, try and keep that in mind, that if you've got a really patterned backsplash, keep your decor and items on the counter super simple. And if you've got a really plain backsplash, don't be afraid to use some pattern and fun in the items you keep on the counter. So that's it. You have conquered kitchen backsplashes and hopefully feel a little more confident in what you're about to select for your home. I actually really am thinking about doing a video on grout selection. So if that's something that you would like some more information on, is what kind of grout, colors of grout, all the information you want, go ahead and drop it in the comments, and then I will know that it's something that you want to see. And again, big thank you to Tile Shop for letting me come in here and film this today. They have awesome tile. I actually use them a lot for my selections. So that's it. Hope you guys like and subscribe, and come back and see me soon.